All right, everyone. I have David here with me, and David just basically earned an entire bachelor's degree in 11 months. And he's here to kind of just tell us about his experience. I'll ask him some questions. So, if any of you want to earn college degrees faster, this is something you're definitely going to want to watch. So, David, first thing I want to say is congratulations. It's an awesome achievement. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background? Because you came back to school as an adult student, okay, but you had dropped out of college in the past, just like I did myself, and a lot of people watching this. Just tell us about your background and your kind of educational journey a little bit up until you started hacking college.
Yes, so I was a music major in my early days out of high school, and I was really working kind of in some as a guitar teacher, and then also I had bands that I was in back in the day, and we were doing the traveling thing, and so I had that, but then I was also super involved with church, and so I ended up kind of dropping out of college to help at church more often, and throughout the years, I realized that I was an associate pastor for most of my adult life for 10 years, and then realized that if I really wanted to truly be able to help people and learn the counseling skills, I would need to get really like a master's degree in that. And you can't really get a master's degree in any of that without having a bachelor's first. And so I wanted to get into seminary now. And so in the past, I had dropped out for wanting to put more time into church. And also, music was looking really good for us, but just for our band and all that we were doing. But music doesn't pay well. And once I got married, I realized I really couldn't do all of it at once. So kind
Yeah,
of dropped out of many of the stuff and just was out of college for 12, 13 years or so before I looped back around.
okay. So it's very similar to a lot of people I work with. I mean, my youngest students that I work with are as young as 16 years old, but a vast majority are adult students. We go out there, we learn that the real world, oh, you actually do need a college degree. And then we want to go back and get them as adults, but we face 4 years or 5 years or 6 years and tens of thousands in tuition.
Right.
What led you to choosing actually hacking college and kind of this method?
A lot went into how I even started looking for it. Is first I was in my getting ready to do my final semester of what was a master's program for theology, but it was just going to be a certificate. And I also I need a master's of divinity, which is it's basically two master's programs put together.
Mm-hmm.
And to get into that, you have to have a college degree. Yeah, you have to have a bachelor's. And so I'm looking at this and going, I don't want to be. I just finished a 2.5 year program. The one I need to get into is another 2.5 years. And I do not, I have three kids right now. And then once I started this program, I just had a fourth. But uh, I don't want to have 15 years solid of school. If I do it the traditional way, I'm only going to be able to take 2 or 3 classes at most a semester. And then I have to attend all of these in-person things, and I just can't do that with a family. So that's why I started research. It's just undoable. I can't take care of my family and then have classes for the next 7 years just to get into the master's program I want to go into.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the time is that's the biggest thing, right? I mean, a lot of people go into debt for school, and that's not cool either. But you're right, 15 years of school, it's crazy, and it shouldn't be like that because it doesn't take you that long to actually learn what you need to learn. It's just that's how schools are modeled. Now,
Right.
if you go deep dive and do a bunch of research online, you'll find that there are multiple ways to earn college degrees faster. You found me. It's been about a year since you found me. Um, and man, you flew. You went really quick with your degree. Um, what what led you to kind of choose what I'm doing here and teaching here over maybe some of the other strategies? Because a lot of people will think, oh, which strategy should I choose? And some of them seem fast and you end up still 3 years for a college degree. Most people I work with shoot for less than a year, but what kind of pushed you in this direction?
For about 6 months before I found your program, I was looking into things like CLEP, and then I started doing the math on that. I'm thinking, well, if I passed every time, that still costs a lot of money, and then
Mhm.
you have to reserve your spot, and then uh, there's no one to like guide you through the process. So, I mean, not that I found. Basically, you can get the books and kind of figure out all the tests you have to take, and if you mess it up, you don't get the degree at the end. And then you have to have the CLEP, and you have to have a place that's going to accept it. And most of the colleges that are accredited, I mean, it was just they require you to also take a bunch of classes in person too, or at least through their school, like 45 units or something. And so
Mhm.
when I started doing that, that's almost half a degree. The 120 units, and if 45 of them have to be there, I can only CLEP that. And then the organizations I could find that would accept a full load of CLEP, they were like kind of regarded as degree meals,
Mhm.
and that doesn't do me any good either.
Yep.
And I mean, that's a lot of work for what's going to be considered a piece of paper and not a degree by any organization I try to work with or get into. And then looking into the costs, realizing like any of the other ones that could find that were testing through, it was still going to cost me like $16,000 to $24,000 a year to pull any of these other systems off. And then there was like the life experience degree and all of this stuff that were also kind of on the degree meal side, the best I could find. And then I stumbled across your videos, and uh, it was a legitimate, you offered legitimate colleges and a legitimate accreditation is going to be widely accepted.
Absolutely. It's a better degree in less time for less money.
Yes, that was the combo.
Yep, exactly. And most people don't know you can hack degrees through the universities instead of using all those third party exams. And I still do have students that use some third party and kind of do a hybrid approach, but most people don't even know that you can hack through the school. So I'm glad that was big for you. Now you have a degree from a legitimate school, a
Yes.
high quality school, high quality degree, and you did it in 11 months. Now you started degree hacking. You joined my program. I taught you how to hack the degree. Then you started, and for those watching, David likely would have gone a lot faster if life didn't happen. So can you just tell me a little bit about your journey after you started hacking college and what that was like?
Yes. So when I started in July 1st, 2022, and then uh, I knew that I had 2 months from the time I started to when I was finishing the last semester of uh, what was it? It was a master's degree. It is a master's degree, but it's just a certificate at this point because I didn't have a degree yet. So I was finishing that last semester, which was a full-time load of school. And I knew that was going to be the full 3 months. So really I was reducing it down to that first 6 month term down to 3 months. But then we found out my wife is pregnant because she started having nonstop morning sickness. So I think a month in is when she started having morning sickness, and I have three boys, well, four now, but three at the time. Had to try to take care of them. Had the full time job, was also working on the other school at the same time. So I basically didn't get to work on any of the WGU stuff. That's the school I went with for almost 3 months. Right in there, I was only able to do the bare minimum where they won't count you not delinquent, but whatever. I can't think of the terminology they use there, but you have to have the progress that shows you're doing something. I only was able to do the minimum progress for those 3 months because there was just too much life stuff going on. And then I'm very involved at our church, so I had a ton to do there because I'm the president of our parish council and then one of the clergy there. So I had all of the stuff I had to work on, minor clergy, and it was just too much. But I was still able to get about 48 units during the 3 months that I was able to be on for that first one. And then in the second term, which was 6 months, our baby was actually born. And if you have a baby, life is rather chaotic for a while. You don't sleep, and it doesn't matter how experienced you are, you still don't really get to sleep a whole lot. And so I lost about 3 months during that phase because I was able to do like a week here and then nothing the next week. And then maybe if and when I did get to do it, it was very late at night, after I get the kids to bed, made sure my wife was taken care of and the baby and all of that, and then try to do something. But it was still doable. And so I'm very convinced if I didn't have all of that, I basically lost 6 months out of the 11 months and was able to do it.
So 5 working months,
I'm working month.
and you walked away with a bachelor's degree. And what I like to tell people is a lot of people that work with me have really busy schedules. They work full-time jobs. And I like to remind people, this isn't, you don't have to be a full-time student to graduate this fast, but you do have to be willing to work hard. And when we first met, I I had a very strong feeling you'd succeed because it was clear that you were willing to work hard. It doesn't take a genius brain. It doesn't take much other than just dedication and commitment. And you did have that through the process. Life happened. It cost you 6 extra months. But yeah, now let me ask you this, because even an 11-month degree, we're talking an entire college semester every 5 or 6 weeks, right? So if we're calculating that down to just the amount of time you were working, that's crazy. Like you're talking weeks, doing entire college semesters in weeks. So let me ask you this. Most people that jump into my program, I challenge them to try to do one college class every week
Yes.
because I know it's possible. I know it's totally doable. When you were in your time frames, when you were flowing and you had time to put into school and life wasn't in the way, how quickly were you getting through college classes?
When I was able to do it, I averaged one a week. So
Mhm.
yeah, very doable. And I would say, having been a full-time student before, it it's about an equivalent workload if you want to finish it one class a week versus if you were just being a full-time student, what you would have to do in a week. Except
Mhm.
for you don't have to attend all the classes. So take that time out. But you
Mhm.
can watch, there's videos, there's all of this stuff. But I would say about one a week was my average. And I I would often look ahead and find out if I knew I was going to be particularly packed. I would work with the course mentor to get some of the classes that were similar lumped together, because then I could put the study time together. And oftentimes on those ones, I was able to do two or three in a week and then be done for a little bit. Or I would still get back to work, but if I knew I couldn't do school for 2 weeks, I'd lump them together. So that's how it ended up averaging about one a week whenever I could do it.
That's incredible. So you had weeks where you do 2 or 3 classes. That's awesome. I'll get emails from students sometimes saying like, "Oh my gosh, like I finished my first class and it took me 2 days or 3 days." You know that's possible because you've done it.
Yes, I
Um,
was pumped because I worked with my mentor beforehand to get some access, and on my first weekend in, I was able to do it was 4th of July weekend, and so I was able to pass 3 classes on the first 3 days because I got access to look through all of and followed all your tips from your course and worked it through. So it was super helpful to like start off with a bang like that.
that's so cool. That's so cool, man. So let me ask you this, because a lot of people will will see testimonials and they'll be like, you know what, I have to have the degree. There's no better way. I'm not going to go to school for 6 more years. I'm just going to try it. And then they kind of start the process, still not knowing what to expect. And the nerves are still there until you start churning through classes and start seeing
Yeah.
the light at the end of the tunnel. Was there a specific point where you're like, holy cow, like this is actually legit. This actually is going to work. Like I'm going to do this really quick.
Yes. It was probably funny enough when my wife really started having the morning sickness, and I was still like in those first few weeks while taking the other one, that I was like, I still passed the class during this 3 week period. I mean, it was only one during that period, but it's like, but I still pulled one off. And there was the sense of I started looking at it was from the perspective of even if I don't finish it in 6 months like I originally wanted, or even if I don't finish it in 1 year, I'm still actually getting all the credit. It doesn't matter if I slow down a little bit. It it's still progress towards it. But each time I saw another class come in, it felt more doable. It,
Yeah, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
yes,
It's it's a cool feeling, and I get that from most people that work with me. And then the nerves start to go away, and you kind of get into the rhythm, and you start calculating your graduation date, and that's
yes,
when things start to get exciting.
yes. But it
Um,
really, I'll give you one other piece that was really, really big for me on that turning point. When I passed the first four classes, which would be 12 units, that was really big for me because I realized if you go the traditional route, even if I had couldn't take another class for the rest of the 6 month period, it was still cheaper for me to do it that way than it would have been if I had gone to one of the regular university programs where I have to pay $500 a unit.
that's crazy because you finished those 12, but then you still ended that semester with like 48,
Right.
right? So yeah, you start seeing the light and thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to work." And then you take a bunch more steps and it's just crazy how fast it goes. And
Yeah.
of course, if you're watching this and you don't know, the faster you graduate with this method, the less you pay in tuition. So David graduated college in 2 semesters, only had to pay tuition for 2 semesters, which is pretty cool.
Yes. And I followed, you had the examples of in your course of how to get some of the different, whether it's scholarships and all of that and financial aid. And I think I ended up only paying 1,175 total for
$1,175 for an entire bachelor's degree. Man, that's amazing.
things special that most people couldn't. I mean, it wasn't like I was in some kind of outlandish, like I didn't get a full ride scholarship or something. It just I applied for just the basic stuff and ended up getting it.
That's awesome. I see a range. That's incredible. Some people will pay just cash and they're like, I don't want to apply for scholarships. I don't have time. I'm just going to pay. And sometimes can walk away for 3, 4, $5,000 for their whole bachelor's degree. And then I'll see some students who get down to a couple $100 out of pocket.
Right.
11, $1,200 for a bachelor's degree is still unheard of. It's amazing. Really
Oh,
is.
how much three classes are at the local college here. So
That's crazy. That's true, right? Now, let me ask you this, David. A big concern that people have when they're thinking about accelerating college degrees. A lot of people see success stories like mine or like yours, and they think, oh, they must be geniuses, right? Like you can't do that if you're not just a total brainiac. Do you what would you say to someone who maybe feels like they aren't smart enough?
I would say that's kind of what college is for.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, that uh, you're probably not yet, but that's why you start and you go through it. It's not that's the whole purpose of the learning and go. And even with degree hacking, you're still learning. It's not like you're. So I think sometimes people hear the word hacking these days and think it's like you're faking your way through, but that's not really the case. You're just with the degree hacking, you're just focusing your attention on the things that are most important for the degree in the field you're looking at.
Mhm.
And so I would say if you can put in the hard work and you can focus, I think it doesn't. I would say it doesn't matter. Maybe you can't. Maybe you start getting in there and you're like, I can't do it in 5 months. Well, why does that matter? It's not like your degree gets extra points because you graduated faster. It's
Totally.
just your
Failure. Yeah. If failure is 12 months or 18 months, that's pretty good failure, right?
and even if you let's say you're like you try the hacking thing and you're going through and you're trying to and you're really struggling, even if it's stretched out to 2.5 years, that's still like half the time it normally takes.
Yeah. Schools will never tell you this. It's kind of their deep, dark secret. We grow up our whole lives and they say bachelor's degree is 4 years. The average bachelor's degree is actually earned in closer to 6.5 years,
Yes.
which is nuts. So yeah. Now, David, let me ask you a, a very common thought that people have when they're looking into degree hacking is this has to be too good to be true. There's no way. We see advertisements all over the internet. Join this program and you're going to make $1 million in the next year, or make $100,000 a month by the end of the month.
Hmm.
Most of it's too good to be true. Because we see a lot of that, sometimes people think earning a college degree in 6 months or 12 months, it's got to be too good to be true, right? What would you say to people who are having those thoughts?
I will, on one, like from direct experience, I can say it's not too good to be true because I've actually experienced it. And it, I know it's not as uncommon. It's still, I mean, rare, but it's not like a unicorn that nobody can do anymore. It's actually more and more people are doing this. And I would say I did a lot of research. And when I settled on what you were doing here, the degree hacking blueprint is, you're very upfront. It is hard work. You have to make sacrifices in your life to make it work. Otherwise, it just doesn't. There's no easy fix. Like if you think you're just going to cruise in and walk away with the degree uh, without putting in any work, then that's not this program. But if you're willing to put in the hard work, it's absolutely doable. In fact, I would say on the timeline, years ago, I actually took, my local college offered summer courses, and you could do a course a week. And so this is actually just doing that, except for at and you just do it in a year intensive or a 6 month intensive, whatever you need. But colleges actually offer intensive 1 week courses. You can take them. And so
Mhm.
this is just saying, let's do it the whole year or for
Yeah,
the whole degree that way.
for your whole degree, not some summer program where you're making classes up. You're right. You're in control. If you work hard and put in the time, you're going to see the results. And it's as simple as that. It really is. Um, David, I want to just leave you saying congratulations. I mean, your goal was 6 months, life happened, and you did it in 11. You're about close to a semester a month.
Right.
That's really, really impressive. And definitely, even though you didn't hit your 6 months goal, you had a beautiful son in the meantime, and congratulations on that. And this is absolutely just a massive victory that you should be proud of the rest of your life.
And I would say even thank you to you for putting this together, because uh, I would not have been able to find all of this and compile. I mean, even what schools were eligible, just that alone is difficult, let alone all the other stuff. So thank you for putting it together. I really could not have done it without your YouTube videos, first off, and then your course that you put together that I partook in. So thank you.
It's absolutely my pleasure. It really is. It's nothing more rewarding. For those of you watching, I got an email a couple weeks ago. David sent me a picture holding his diploma 11 months after he started, and it's really rewarding for me too. That's why I try to keep the cost really affordable. I don't want this to be out of reach for people. And I'm so excited for you and your success story and for your family. And you're on to bigger and greater things. And your certificate that you already earned, your master's certificate, the second you got that degree, that turned into a master's degree, which is awesome. So now you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree.
Finish.
Really, really impressive. Man, good job, David. I'll let you go. And yeah, for those of you watching, this is possible. You can do it as long as you're willing to work hard. And hope you all have a wonderful day.